4, 3, 2, 1.
Dolls and donuts, dolls and donuts. We are two dolls, we like animals. As a bonus, we eat donuts.
Hello and welcome to the Dolls and Donuts
Donuts
podcast, episode 7. We're going to tell you about our vegan adventures, what's going on in the animal rights community, and what's been happening in Robin's Vegan Dollhouse. But first we want to thank those who have left us some love lately.
So, did the food duo leave us love?
I think so.
We got a review from the food duo that says, "Thanks so much for having us. Great episode, and not just because we're on it. Cannot wait for the next one." And I think it might have had something to do with the fact that you were on it.
You may be a little biased to the fact that you were on that one. So it might be your favorite.
I think I might be biased that it came out so good because of you. So if anyone didn't hear last month's episode, you definitely have to, so that you can listen to our interview with the food duo. And because the food duo are so awesome, Carmela also reviewed us on iTunes and gave us 5 stars. Yay! You ladies have a great podcast going. I'm looking forward to hearing more from your journeys and your guests.
Hashtag vegan love.
Yay!
That was actually written. I didn't just make that up.
We vegan love you back. And we also got a review that was a 5-star review from Miss Natalie Bones, who's my very best Instagram friend. And it says, "A cute show. I subscribe and look forward to more episodes."
Thanks, Miss Natalie Bones.
Thank you. And now it's time for Ask Ashley.
That's me. I've kind of got a few stories compiled into one. So the first story is the race to disrupt animal agriculture just got a $25 million shot in the arm and a new nonprofit. So this article from One Green Planet is kind of talking about several things that have happened in like the vegan food industry that are really going to like take it to a whole new level. So like the 3 things that they talk about in this article is the Plant-Based Food Association, the Good Food Institute, and the New Crop Capital. So the first thing was Plant-Based Food Association that they mentioned, which is, you know, every other kind of food or industry has an association that like kind of lobbies for them and has their best interests at heart. And the vegan or plant-based foods has not had that until now. So the plant-based food industry is a $3.5 billion industry, and they never had an association to kind of like help with that. So now they have this association that's really going to help like bring all the businesses and like and then the investments and all that kind of stuff for plant-based food to the next level.
And is that the association that just started and Miyoko's Kitchen just posted about it because they're part of it?
Yeah, I think they are part of it. It's real. It's just been the last few months that it was like, I'm sure they'd worked on it for a while, but that it actually became public.
Nice.
That this is happening. And the next kind of organization they were talking about is the nonprofit called the Good Food Institute. That's a nonprofit, and on their website it says they work with scientists, investors, and entrepreneurs to make groundbreaking food for a reality. So they focused on cultured and plant-based meat, milks, and eggs, and they want to make them delicious, safer to eat, and better for the planet than the animal-based counterparts, which is great because I don't think that there's anything really like that out there right now, like before this. For the plant-based food industry. Right. They have organizations for like the animal part of it, like the ethics part of it. They have it for like the environmental part of it. They have them for the health part of it, but not really as an industry, a food industry, you know, a vegan food industry as one for all of these reasons. That didn't really exist. So this is another organization that's really going to be on the lookout, like for help, like encourage and help these like small businesses or people that have ideas. You know, they need help and support, and this organization is going to be there to like make these new ideas or better versions of things happen.
And are they a new organization?
Yeah, they're an organization, and a lot of the people from the Good Food Institute are also founders or very heavily involved in the New Crop Capital, which is the venture capital group that is investing $25 million into plant-based foods. Many of these vegan food companies started out as small businesses, like 1 person, 2 people with an idea, and then it's just organically grown from there, but it's taken a long time. So recently New Crop Capital did announce that they are going to use all this money to invest in vegan plant-based food companies. And some of the companies they're investing in are Memphis Meats, Lighter, The Purple Carrot, Lyrical Foods, Gelzen, I'm not sure what that one is, Beyond Meat, which we all know, Sun Fried Foods, and Miyoko's Kitchen. So some of these brands I know, some of them I don't know yet.
So I've only heard of 2 of those that you listed, which is Beyond Meat and Miyoko's.
I think I've heard of
the others.
I'm not sure. I haven't heard of all of them. I think I've heard of the Purple Carrot, but I'm not sure exactly what they do.
I hope they make purple carrots.
I don't know.
I want them to only make purple vegan food, if that's possible.
Food, period.
I just want purple food.
Yeah.
That's all I
know
want to
you
eat.
would love that. Maybe some of this 25 million would go towards color-biased food people.
I can't be the only one. If anyone is listening and they are also a color-biased food person, can you please email me or send me a tweet and let me know that I'm not the only one? I don't want to be alone in this boat.
Yeah, she's going to make the Purple Food People Association. That's going to be the next one to come out. But they're spreading all this money out, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of startups that they're going to be looking into to get into more stores and develop all their products and their packaging and just, all that stuff that goes into business. And I'll just read you a little bit of this quote that they have. I've been told I can't read the whole thing because it's too long. But the New Crop Capital said that we are committed to driving the future of food. Consumers choose what to eat on the basis of taste, convenience, and price. And that's where Good Food Institute and New Crop Capital come in. So they basically go on to say they're both focused on creating clean plant food, obviously an alternative to the animal-based products. And basically say, they want to make it as affordable, as healthy, and, as tasty as the plant-based versions. That way people, can actually buy them and enjoy them and want to choose them over animal-based products.
I think the affordable one is a big.
That's a big one.
That was something that the Food Duo talked about in our interview, and I didn't really bring it up much because I was under allergy attack and trying not to talk. But in general, I feel like that is something that people aren't really addressing, especially in the vegan grocery store market. I can go to any vegan grocery store in any city and drop so much money. I think I dropped like $80 when I went to Riverdale when I was in New York. I just it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
And so if somebody is trying to make that choice and that's their deciding factor is the price, I feel like it would be great
price is a deciding factor in so many other things in our life that don't have anything to do with veganism. So someone that isn't you're like, well, of course I'm going to pay the extra $2-3 because it's vegan. Right. I'm going to pay that, and I'm going to not really think twice about it, really, because I want to buy the ethical product. Mm-hmm. But for someone that doesn't, that's not a choice they face every day. That's definitely going to be a deciding factor. Because the Food Duo said when they were looking at the Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and the non-vegan one was on sale for under $3, and the other one was almost $6. Yep. That's a big difference. Huge it's 2 for 1. Yep. You know what I mean? So someone that's not really interested, this is new. I like Ben & Jerry's. This is a new product they have. I'm interested, but I'm not paying double the price, especially when the other one's on sale. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. So closing the gap between these two types of foods is important, especially when there's no government subsidies for the vegan foods.
Oh, so there are for...
Oh, yeah. Meat and dairy industry get tons of government subsidies.
So shitty.
So that's one reason why, meat and cheese can be so cheap.
Oh, my gosh.
It's not the true cost. I think I read an article somewhere where it said, if you take into account all the actual money that the government pays the industry, they give the money, and the cuts they get, just on and on, the environmental costs, I think they said that the true cost of 1 pound of beef was $20.
What?
Yeah. So it's
an
illusion. It's an illusion of what a cost actually is.
Right. So are these new organizations going to help with that?
I think, that's one of the things. They want to make it more accessible, one. Because, in the middle of America, there's not many places to buy these types of things. It's getting better. It's getting better, for sure. But, when you have one next to the other, you want to be compelled to buy the plant-based version. Yeah. And price is a huge part of that.
Yeah. That reminds me about how a lot of my Periscope friends who live in, the parts of the country that I've never been to.
Middle America.
Yeah.
The Midwest.
So I'll bring up things and I'll say, oh, yeah, and get this cheese. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, we don't have that cheese.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
It's not even really an option. Unless they want to buy all their food through the mail and, it gets shipped to them in, the freezer things. And
then you're just paying...
It doesn't really work.
You're paying even more than the already expensive product because you're paying for shipping.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think all these things combined are going to help with accessibility, price, quality, all these things. So these are huge. We may not see the trickle down effect for a while from all this, but there's a lot of money going in, a lot of organizations being funded. Companies being funded, organizations founded to help with these issues.
Nice.
So it's a big deal. And something that I also read that kind of ties into this is like the expansion and like getting bigger and like these industries getting stronger, vegan industries, is that Veggie Grill is expanding nationwide.
Oh,
It's
nice.
going to go nationwide. The markets that they're going to focus in on is like the Midwest and the South. So they said some of the cities that they're going to be definitely spreading into is Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Miami, and Washington, D.C. So that's a great start because Veggie Grill needs to be everywhere.
Yeah.
You know?
They'll be successful everywhere.
Yeah.
It's good food.
And the CEO was talking in an article saying, like, people wonder, like, do you really have enough vegetarians in the world, the country or a market or wherever?
Yeah, but you don't have to be vegetarian to enjoy Veggie Grill.
And that's what he said. That was what his answer to that is. Like, they said 70 to 80% of the people that go to a Veggie Grill are not vegan or vegetarian. But they're choosing that meal, a week, a couple times a week, once a week, several times a week, varying amounts, but they are choosing to eat vegan food. Mm-hmm. Omnivores are choosing to eat vegan food more often.
I think people generally want to eat healthier. They're just not willing to sacrifice the taste for eating healthy.
And now you really
with
don't
Veggie
have
Grill,
to.
Yeah, with Veggie Grill, you totally don't have to.
Yeah. So I think that tied in nicely with the story from One Green Planet that Veggie Grill is expanding because they're doing really well. They're opening up on the West Coast. They're opening everywhere.
Nice.
Like, there's just Veggie Grills are popping up everywhere, like a McDonald's, and I mean that as a compliment, not as a.
I know.
In a
I'm
bad
sorry
way.
for comparing you to McDonald's Veggie Grill.
They're very good at what they do, unfortunately, McDonald's.
Yeah.
But I'd be very happy if there was a Veggie Grill on every corner instead of a McDonald's. So they're expanding and they're doing really well, and I would love to see it get into where I grew up and stuff like that. So
What if we fast forward to the future and they're really there are no McDonald's. Veggie Grill is the new McDonald's.
that would be awesome.
It would have to be faster though. They would have to be a drive-through.
Yeah, they could do it,
But not the kind of drive-through that place I went to outside of Sacramento.
Oh,
where
half
it's
an
called a
hour drive, the 30-minute drive-through.
Not that kind.
Only 30 minutes. Guarantee your food. Guarantee within 30 minutes of the drive-through.
Sometimes I see the line out the Starbucks drive-thrus and I'm like, is that a 30-minute coffee that you're going to wait for? Because it's out into the road.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But
We need our fix.
yeah, we need to get our Valorian and get.
Wait, is that what it is?
What?
What's Valorian?
It's the car that they go in Back to the Future.
Oh!
DeLorean, not
I
Valorian.
was like, what?
I knew I had it halfway.
I thought this was some effect that caffeine has on your body that you were describing, and I was
be.
like, whoa!
It could be.
Getting
But,
into the medical terms.
so that's the first story. So those are all really positive things that will just. I think it's gonna catapult vegan food into new, different parts of the country and everything like that. So it's good. The next story we're gonna talk about is the zoo owner who owned the tiger that was in Life of Pi has been charged with animal cruelty. So if you remember that movie, when did that come out? 5 years ago, maybe? You probably don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
I don't think I saw it.
Okay. It's about
Oh wait, I did
a
see
young
it.
boy who's stranded out
on
in the
a boat.
ocean
Yeah.
on the boat
Okay.
with a tiger. And even though at this point it was completely doable to do CGI, they could have done a CGI easily. The new Jungle Book is done all CGI animals. They did use a real tiger in it. So the person that owns the zoo that Bengal tiger belongs to is being charged with 5 counts of animal cruelty. So a video came out in December that PETA released, and it was him basically beating a tiger. I don't think it's the same tiger, but another tiger that he owns with a whip. And the Ontario Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, they have jurisdiction in Canada to file charges. So they've looked at this footage and they've done some research at the zoo and did interviews and things, and so they've charged him with 5 counts of animal cruelty. And he says some kind of disturbing things in the video. He says when he's kind of demonstrating the way he's hitting the animal, And he says the beauty of the paws being on the rock when you hit him is it's like a vice. It stings more. So apparently, like, the animal's paws are on a rock of some kind, and he's hitting him on the rock, so it's supposed to cause more pain. So that's kind of what he's talking about. And then it says that the article said that he says also that if we'd been running a videotape the whole time you were here and you did a 45-second montage of the times I struck the animal, PETA would burn this place to the ground. So he's basically saying, I hit this animal so much. If PETA knew about this, they'd burn the place down. He's saying now that the footage is doctored and that it's cut to imply that he hit it. He said he hit it twice and and that he didn't hit him anymore. He's saying he's admitting to hitting the animal twice with a whip. Nothing's happened yet. He has resigned from his position at the zoo. So he said he's not guilty, but he's resigned. So it's still pending and everything. But it's just another story from Animals and Entertainment. Them being beaten and trained for these movies when there's really no need for them to be in them in the first place, especially today with the CGI. So we'll see what happens with that. And a story that's very recent happened yesterday morning that I didn't really put into the podcast because I didn't have time, but it's another kind of zoo-related incident, and a tiger one as well, that a zookeeper was mauled to death yesterday morning in San Diego, a San Diego zoo. Not the San Diego zoo, but I think a San Diego zoo. She was a zookeeper, and she was getting ready for a show, like a tiger informational show where they tell people, like the visitors, about the tigers. She was getting ready for one of those in the back, so nobody was viewing this. Like, this area wasn't in view of the public couldn't see it. And they don't really know what happened yet, but the tiger attacked her and killed her. And they tranquilized the animal, and they couldn't get to her until it passed out from the tranquilizer, and she was killed. So they're saying, a lot of animal rights things are saying, this is a wild animal. You know what I mean? It's not a pet. It will attack people. It's a wild animal. It's a wild cat. And she shouldn't have been in an open enclosure with it. She shouldn't have been in close proximity. So OSHA's getting involved. I mean, they're going to see if any procedures were not being held up, or whether they were not in place in the first place. And OSHA's being involved because it's the same kind of. The whole thing is kind of all related, the Animal for Entertainment, this guy beating them, and the SeaWorld being with the trainers being in the water. That was an OSHA decision that they couldn't be in the water because the job is too dangerous. So this is kind of leading into the same thing where they think that being a zookeeper in the enclosures with wild animals it's not a safe job. So therefore, OSHA's is investigating to see if this was, a lapse in procedure or whatever. So there's been a lot of this stuff coming up with this Life of Pi thing. A lot of this as well, a lot of stories kind of coming together around the same issues. So we'll see what happens with that. The last story is that University research links meat to kidney cancer. Big surprise. Meat causes cancer. We all know this. But more and more, the research is coming out. And this article, we'll have it in the show notes. It's very technical. There's a lot of carcinogen, symbols, what things that you can't really read on a podcast or
Statistical expressions.
Yeah, it's very scientific, this article. So if you're interested in the little bit I'm going to tell you about now, I would suggest you check it out because it is very science heavy. But basically, it comes on after the World Health Organization has said that processed meats like bacon and sausage or even cause more chance of cancer than just regular types of meat. So the higher the processed meat, the even worse it is for you. So that came out late last year, maybe, or early this year. And now this research is coming on top of that. And it's basically saying that it's piggybacking off of that, saying that it's not just processed meat. They're kind of focusing in on meat being barbecued or charcoal. So even in pan fry. So even if you're cooking it on a pan or on a barbecue and you're cooking it for a long amount of time on a high temperature, carcinogens are forming in the meat. And that particular carcinogens that are being formed there are causing high rates of kidney cancer. they're not just saying, okay, stop eating meat, it's bad for you. They're saying basically, like, because they wouldn't say that, right? They wouldn't just say the logical thing that you should just not eat it. But they are saying it's not just red meat, because red meat's been like, oh, we shouldn't eat too much red meat. But now they're saying it's, which every study, almost every study says, red meat's bad for you. But now they're saying also, like, white meat, chicken, things that are, like, quote-unquote healthy meats or lean meats, like, you're still at risk. And especially if you cook it this way. So they're basically saying to cook your meat, but don't overcook it, because then there's more carcinogens in the food. So
Leave it bloody.
yeah, like, well, it's like, where's the line? Like, you don't cook it enough, you're like subject to all kinds of
Salmonella.
E. coli and like all kinds of stuff. And then you cook it too much, and you're eating carcinogens. So it's like, why are you eating it? I don't know. But they basically said, they surveyed like so many people that cooked their food that way, like a lot of barbecue and like high heat in a pan, that had kidney cancer. And like, it's a very interesting article. You should read it, but it's very, like I said, it's very science heavy, so it's kind of hard to break down here. But it's just another research article coming out about linking meat to cancer, which we hear it over and over and over again. So hopefully, people that maybe have kidney cancer in their family or are concerned about that, they pay attention to this article.
I wonder if it has to do with the fats. Do you remember if it said anything about fats? Because I know there's different kinds of oils, like just vegetable-based oils, and they have different heating temperatures where the fats turn into trans fats. And so I wonder if it's something like that.
This was definitely, I don't know if that's a factor, but this article is mostly focusing on the meat, the carcinogens in the meat. Okay. Like at a high temperature, the meat forms carcinogens. And there was like 2 that were very prevalent. And those carcinogens were also very high in the kidney cancer patients that they studied.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So just stop eating it. I don't get it. Like,
or just get kidney cancer, whatever. Your choice.
Yeah. Your burger or your kidneys.
We don't want to tell you what to do, so we're just giving you the information so that you can make a decision.
Yeah, it just, logic. Throw that out the window. Who needs it? But yeah, just another research coming out to support what we've known for a long time. So that's it for the news.
I'm glad that was there was mostly nice stories there. So as far as what's been going on at the dollhouse, there's been some traveling. So I haven't been making much in the kitchen, but I did go to New York, and I went to some new places, which I was kind of excited about, and I tried some new things. And I tried to make it so that I went to more new places than old places, and I think I did a pretty good job.
That's hard.
It is.
Because you always, I know I've probably said this before on the podcast, but it's like you go places and you've been before, and it's hard, you want to go to those, like, places that you love.
Yes.
And you don't get a chance to eat them all the time. But then you're missing all, like, the new places. It's very hard. I'm going to LA this weekend, and I am, like, we're right now, like, that's the biggest debate of our trip.
Mm-hmm. Do you go to the ones you love, or do you go to the new ones?
Because you only have so many meals, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, yes, I feel your pain.
Okay. I want to hear about what you're deciding on that, by the way, so that I can try to influence you.
Once I finally decide, you'll come in and
I know,
destroy
out the
all my,
window.
destroy everything.
That's why we should consult now before you finalize your decision.
I know. Well, I don't have a lot. We're trying to balance it with our usual and new places.
Okay, yeah.
So.
I tried to do that too, but I definitely wanted to go a little heavier on new places.
Yeah.
So, let's see. I went back. So obviously Cinnamon Snail I've been to before, but the version of Cinnamon Snail I had been to before was the food truck. So I feel like Cinnamon Snail is like a good analogy to Hella Vegan Eats. Mm-hmm. So they both
followed
started,
a similar path.
Yes, they followed a very similar path. And almost at the exact same time, I feel like. They both got brick and mortars within a few months of each other. And they're both saving their food trucks for just vegan events and stuff, which is great. So Cinnamon Snail, I had eaten food there before, but I had never tried their donuts before. Their donuts are so good.
I've heard that their donuts are good.
Like, so good. And Hella Vegan Eats, their donuts are really, really good, too.
Hey, what's up with these food truck donuts? That's not even their thing.
I know.
But their donuts are really, really good.
I know.
Get it.
I've been very
glad,
excited about it.
But I don't get it.
Yeah. So for those of you who live in the Bay Area, you'll know that we don't really have a lot of vegan donut options here. I mean, you can get them at Whole Foods, which I think they get them from Posh. You can get them from a lot of different places, like cafes like Phil's will have People's Donuts, and you can go to the donut farm and get a wider selection of People's Donuts. But in general, our donut selection is set.
And I can hear everyone in middle America rolling their eyes right already. Like, oh, you think you don't have enough vegan donuts over there on the West Coast? I had to drive 4 hours to find a vegan donut.
Yeah.
So I know.
Sorry.
We have it better than most people in America, believe me.
It's true, I guess. But
We're
also,
just spoiled.
Yeah.
So the grass is always greener.
Yeah, the grass is definitely greener. So previously, when I had gone to New York, I was very happy with Dunwell Donuts in Brooklyn. This time, not happy with them because the first donuts I ate was the day that I arrived, and it was cinnamon snail donuts, and I was just like, these are so good. And then I had the Dunwell, and I was like, okay, well, no longer. I can't go back to Dunwell now.
They're done.
They
Dunwell.
done well, and now
They're
they ain't
done.
doing anything anymore.
Oh, poor things.
I know. The good thing about going to Dunwell for me was that I got to try Alchemy Creamery for the first time, which I've been following them on the internet and excited to try their ice cream and never had. But their location is a little bit out of the way. Mm-hmm. I don't really go to that area when I go to New York, so it was nice that I got to try it without having to go all the way to their location, and it was delicious. But when it's served in like this kind of like push-up, like your old school ice cream push-ups,
Like
you know?
Why do I feel like that's associated with the Flintstones? Do they used to have like Flintstone
They must have had
ones?
Flintstone push-ups, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like, why am I seeing like Barney Rubble in my mind when you're talking about these push-ups?
Yeah, probably. Okay. And the push-ups from back in the day only had a couple flavors, and they were more like a sherbety flavor, right?
Yeah.
And so this one was obviously like some decadent chocolate thing, but I could not for the life of me figure out how to do the push-up. Like, I was like trying, and then there was like coffee stirs. Anyway, I finally ended up eating it. It was not easy. And I posted on my Instagram, and Alchemy commented, and they were like, we're making a tutorial video about that because we've gotten that.
How to eat their products.
Yeah. Isn't that hilarious? Yeah. So at least Dunwell has some good ice cream options. They also sell Three Little Birds ice cream there, but it's by the pint, so it's kind of a commitment if you're not like heading home to a freezer.
I'm not afraid of commitment. Especially when it
I
comes
love
to
that
pints of
about you.
ice cream.
So I didn't try Three Little Birds there because we were about to go to Champs, because Dunwell and Champs are like a block away from each other. But I did get a chance to get some Three Little Birds somewhere else later in my trip, and it is divine. It's a cashew ice cream. It was so, so, so good. The flavor I got was Death by Chocolate, and it was one of those ice creams where you can just take like 3 bites and then put it away because you're perfectly satisfied, because that's how decadent it is.
Oh, I didn't know that was possible.
It was so wonderful.
3 pints and then you can stop, maybe. I don't know.
So I don't think it's being very widely distributed yet, but they do have all their locations on their website. So I recommend checking out the Three Little Birds website.
I hate them for taking such a beautiful, beautiful name. I love it. I love that name so much. I wish I would have thought of it first.
I think they thought of it for you. I almost think they make that ice cream for you.
Okay.
They were like,
all right.
Ashley would like this.
So cute.
So
I'll just do 3 little turtles or something. That's cute too.
Some other cute animal.
Yeah.
3 little parakeets. Okay, so donuts. Oh, we went to Riverdale, which is the vegan cheese shop, which is expensive cheese, but had the widest variety of vegan cheese of any place that I've seen in one place. So I think they had about 15 different brands of vegan cheese. Brands I hadn't even heard of, that I didn't even know existed. There's a company, Cheese Hound, that makes a vegan cheese that's delicious, and they make a cashew chèvre cheese, which I had never had chèvre because...
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I've been vegan so long that I wasn't fancy enough to try something called chèvre when I was a punk rock kid. Yeah. But it's delicious. They call it cachèvre, which is adorable. And their logo is a little dog face, which is so cute.
That's cute.
And the cheese is phenomenal. It's so, so good. And they had a mozzarella that they called mozzarella. But it was served in a mason jar, so I was scared that if I brought it home in my suitcase that it would get broken.
Yeah.
And it's packed in liquid, so I couldn't do a carry-on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of those situations. I went for my first time to Little Chalk Apothecary, and it's like a creperie, and they have a ton of different teas and coffee, and it's just super cute, and I was into it. It took a while to get the food, but I think that was because it was like prime brunch hour. So I recommend that place. Another place I was really excited to go, which I've never been to, but I've always wanted to go my whole life, is Vegan Treats in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And that sound that you just heard.
I share your enthusiasm and your
Ashley's excitement that she's sharing with me.
Yeah.
So it's maybe like an hour and a half drive from New York City. So we got a zip car. We took a zip car all the way there and drove in the rain and got there.
See what we do for you, Vegan Treats.
I know, huh? It was totally worth it. I would definitely do it again. Every dessert they have is adorable. Like, everything in there was cute.
When people talk, like, I talk to people about vegan food or vegan desserts, I always go to their Instagram and show them because, like, it's both kind of about design as well. But every piece of, like, food they put out is, like, so detailed. Mm-hmm. Every single one. The attention to detail there is unparalleled that I've seen of any other, like, vegan bakery or vegan, like, food. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. Everything is gorgeous. So I got some cakes from there, obviously, and brought one back for you, but it didn't travel very well.
It traveled fine from my mouth into my stomach. No problem.
So if you're ever anywhere near there, I definitely recommend going. And the last
so if you're debating whether it's worth the trip,
from New York City,
yeah,
it is.
Okay, yeah.
Don't debate. Just go and buy everything they have.
Just drive. Don't even think about it.
And they have soft serve. And it's good soft serve. Like, I like it better than the soft serve at Timeless.
If I had I did. Yes, I have had the soft serve at Timeless. Guess it wasn't that. I didn't even remember if I had it or not.
I'm slightly picky about soft serve, I guess. I know that there's a mall down here in the South Bay that has vegan soft serve at a Loving Hut, I think, and it's not good.
Yeah, I've had it. It's okay. Like, whatever. It's there. If I'm there and I want ice cream, I have it, but I'm not going to, like, go out of my way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So the place that Brandy works at, No Burger, have you been there?
I tried it for the first time at the last week from last Sunday at Very Vegan Sunday.
Okay.
It's very good. I liked it a lot.
So apparently they have soft serve now.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Okay, cool.
So I want to try that and compare. But anyway, yeah. So the last place I went to that I'm going to mention that I went to in New York that I was excited about that was a new place is, I don't even know how they say it, but it's 00 and Company, I guess. 00 plus CO. And it's a vegan pizzeria, but it's not just that. I think it's like vegan Italian food because they also had some pastas and other things, a cheese plate, things that weren't pizza on the menu. Mm-hmm. And it was delicious. They definitely don't let you make any substitutions. You have to order straight from the menu. So you can't, like, build your own pizza. And the service was not what I would call customer-oriented.
Not customer-friendly?
Yeah. So if you like bad service and good food, go there.
If you can put up with the bad service for the food, do you think it's worth it?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And it wasn't, like, bad service. It was kind of like indifferent service. Like, they could care less if you're there, kind of.
Yeah.
You could be there, you could not be there.
I can handle the indifferent, I guess, if the food's good enough. But it's when they're like, ugh.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm sorry,
like
I'm here giving you money. Yeah, like,
yeah.
I'm paying to keep, I'm helping keep this place open. I'm so sorry that I came into your establishment and wanted to buy food from you. That's the only time I get annoyed. If it's indifferent, I'm like, whatever, just give me my food. I just won't pay attention to you either.
Yeah, totally.
But.
Yeah, so that was really delicious. My pizza came out with flowers on it, which, if you know me, I'm a big fan of edible flowers on all of my food, if possible. So yeah, that's a recap of my New York trip and all the new places I went. Oh, I went to the new Chloe place. They have one in LA too. Is that on your list for LA?
I didn't know they had one. Did it just open in LA?
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
it's
no.
new.
I will look into it. Yeah.
Okay. I went there. Definitely not what I was expecting at all. It's like more of a veggie grill type place, except they have way less seating.
I thought it was fancy.
I know, that's what I thought too. It was so confusing. I went there thinking it was fancy, but it was more like a burger place.
Interesting.
It was like you stand in a
that
really
was not
long
the impression
line. The line
that
was
I
out
got.
the door. You stand in a long line that's out the door, and which moves pretty quickly. And then you get up to the front and you order it, and they give you like a number, a little thing that vibrates or whatever, and then your food is ready in like 10 minutes, and you have nowhere to sit, so you take it out, basically. The food was good. I mean, I had a delicious kale salad. I got the kale salad at Chloe that I get at Veggie Grill, which is...
All hail kale. Is that it?
Yeah, with the bacon? Oh, no, the Caesar.
That's okay.
The kale Caesar.
I like the all hail kale.
Oh, okay.
Matt likes the kale Caesar.
I like the kale Caesar because I like the tempeh bacon. But I would say that the kale Caesar at Chloe is better than the one at Veggie Grill.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So if we go, I'll definitely have Matt get that because he likes that one at Veggie Grill.
Yeah. Except the only complaint I had is that some of the kale leaves were yellow. But I noticed that at another place there too, and I'm thinking it's because in New York they don't grow their own kale.
I don't know.
They probably get it from here.
Yeah.
And so by the time it gets there, it's just not quite so fresh.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I would never think that I would go to a restaurant and have someone serve me kale that is rotting. Like, not acceptable. I find that to be not acceptable.
You wouldn't think.
So maybe I'm just taking for granted that California has good fresh produce. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not a good sign.
Yeah. Okay, so then I get back from New York and went to the Hella Vegan Eats new location and the Butcher Son new location, like the day when I got back. And for those of you who don't know, Hella Vegan Eats in San Francisco, and now they have a brick and mortar in Oakland, and their food is still great. Their donuts are phenomenal. I got a blueberry-filled donut that I was really impressed with. I think I even I put it on our Dolls and Donuts Instagram, I think.
I think so, yeah.
And have you been to the new Hella Vegan Eats yet?
Not Hella Vegan Eats.
But you went to the Butcher Son.
Yeah, I've been twice, yeah.
So Butcher Son is our vegan delicatessen. Is that what you call it?
Mm-hmm. That's
vegan
what the sign
butcher.
says outside.
Okay. So
I don't.
vegan deli.
I'm hesitant to say vegan butcher.
Yeah.
Like I get that there's vegan in front of it, but I just don't think it's a nice word.
Yeah.
So I don't tend to say that.
Yeah.
But they say delicatessen.
Yeah.
But
it is
or
like
deli,
a delicatessen.
Delicatessen.
Yeah. You go up, you like order your sandwich, which I feel like is a deli food. You get a side of like potato salad or macaroni salad or something, and then you sit down and eat it.
Yeah.
It seems kind of like a deli.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So how did you feel about it?
I loved it. It was great. What it's kind of likened to, if you live in the Bay or California, it's similar to Ike's sandwiches because they have all those vegan options there, but obviously much better. But it's like the big sandwiches like they serve at Ike's. And I had the mozzarella meatball sub the first time I went, which is great. I'm partial to like meatball subs. I've always loved meatball subs my whole life, so I have vegan one whenever I get a chance.
Which is called the Meatless Mike at Ike's.
Right? Yeah, it's called the Meatless Mike at Ike's. And that was very good. And my side that I got was the coleslaw, which is really good.
I didn't try the coleslaw.
And then the second time I went, I got the Philly cheesesteak, which is also good. But many people would probably like the Philly cheesesteak better, but I'm just so partial to meatball subs. I just loved the meatball sub.
I think I liked the meatball sub better. I really liked the spices they put in the meatballs. They were just so delicious.
And their mozzarella, like they make their mozzarella there, and that was just so good.
Mm-hmm.
The
Philly cheesesteak had their cheese on it too. The Philly cheesesteak was really hard to eat. I was a mess. It was everywhere.
You would think, looking at both of them, you'd think they both be equally hard to eat. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the Philly cheesesteak fell apart so much easier.
Yeah.
Because like the quote meat is like shredded more in the Philly cheesesteak, and in it's meatballs obviously in the sub, so it stays together better. I don't know, but so I had the same experience.
Yeah. What are you gonna get next time you go? I want to try the pulled pork.
I don't know. I feel like I want to get the meatball sub again.
I
get into a habit
try
where I like something and I want to.
Did you get a donut?
We got a donut. Matt got it. I didn't have it, and he wasn't impressed.
What kind did he get?
I can't remember.
Okay.
They didn't have any like extravagant ones that day.
Okay.
So I can't. It was a fairly plain donut, but he wasn't impressed with it.
So I got the maple bacon donut, and I think out of all the vegan bacon I've seen in my life, this is definitely the most realistic looking, tasting, and texture of any vegan bacon I've ever had.
Is it
to the point where I
there?
almost I couldn't like eat a piece of it by itself. Like, it was just too real.
Yeah.
Yeah. They make it there, yeah.
Okay.
And the donut itself was delicious. just so good.
So I think maybe the way to go there, cause I'll try that again. But I think maybe like go for more of their more like extravagant kind of donuts and not their plain ones.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I mean Matt loves donuts. He loves anything really, and he was just like he didn't finish it.
Oh,
So,
what?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
well,
rare.
tell him next time that happens to
So I
bring
think-
that left over to me, please.
So I think if something's a little more
Fun.
like
Like a
not
fun
just a plain
flavor.
glazed donut or a jelly filled donut. If it's something a little more, maybe that's where they excel. So yeah, I'll try it again. And see.
Okay, well, we should go together because I can't eat a whole sandwich. I have to share.
I eat half and I take it home and eat it later in the day, and that's like my food for the whole day.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, the whole
That's how I feel about Chipotle, too.
The sandwich and the side is like that's all I eat the whole day.
Yeah.
I just eat it 2 times, like half and half.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be down to go again for sure. And for anybody who wants to visit, it's in Berkeley near the vegan store.
Yeah, it's on University Avenue, so it's a couple blocks closer to University of Berkeley, going that way, going towards University of Berkeley from Republic of V, or Vegan Republic now.
And they close early at like 2 or 3.
I think it's 3 on the weekdays, 5 on the weekends, I think. But they also do like breakfast bagels, so they're open at 8. So that's something that I probably won't try anytime soon.
But if anybody lives over there.
But yeah, if you live there and you're looking for a kind of fancy bagel with a bunch of cool stuff on top, they open at 8.
And who isn't?
Yeah, if you're there, if you're in the area, I'm very unlikely I'd ever be there to try that and
Unless
not want a sandwich.
Yeah, if I was sleeping over somewhere over there, then I could see myself going there in the morning. But yeah, in general, if I'm going to drive all the way over there, I won't go for a bagel.
Yeah. But very good. 2 thumbs up. Get over there
Yep,
and
2
try
thumbs
it.
up for sure. And what else have we been trying lately? I guess that's it. We had a potluck this morning.
Yes.
So we went to a potluck at a friend's house, and it was for brunch. And I made rainbow heart-shaped waffles. What did you make?
I made... and as made, I mean I put it in the pan and I heated it up. Which is the... something, I can't remember the brand, bacon.
Sweet Earth.
Okay, yeah.
It tasted like Sweet Earth.
Yeah, it was like a Sweet Earth bacon, and it was very good. And I heated it up all by myself.
Good
and
job.
brought it, and everyone ate it, and it was very good.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Lizzie made heart-shaped biscuits with mushroom gravy, which was so good.
I love biscuits and gravy. That's like one of my favorite brunch typey foods. I love it. Yeah,
And
it
right
was
when
very
I saw
good.
them, I was like, oh, they're heart-shaped. She was like, normally I make round ones, but I knew you were coming, so I made heart ones.
Up your game.
I was like, yeah. And then Kimmy brought tofu scramble. There was some kind of lox, or salmon? Was it supposed to be lox or was it salmon?
I heard both phrases going around. I know nothing about seafood.
So
vegan or
Sophie's
otherwise,
Kitchen
so I don't
makes
know.
all the mock seafood. Well, Sophie's is one of the companies that makes a lot of mock seafood, and I guess they make some kind of salmon, thinly sliced salmon for bagels.
There was some of that going around, but I steered clear.
Yeah, I tried it. I was trying to be adventurous. It was not great. I don't like things that have weird consistencies or that taste too much like fish, but
Like a fish. A thing that's trying to taste like fish.
basically. And the most important thing about the brunch is that there were ducklings, baby ducks, out in the pond that we got to go and look at after
Stalked
brunch.
them.
It was
Their mom was like looking nervously over at us, like we were like, they're on the playground. And there's like these weird adults watching her kids. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, probably.
She was like, "Stay away from those people.
I know.
Don't make eye contact. Keeping our ducklings away from us." We're like, oh, get our we got our cameras out and everything. And that mom was like, "Oh, these freaks." So
Yeah.
but it was very cute.
They're like, don't talk to the strangers.
Yeah, stay away from those people.
Don't take candy, aka
Yeah.
rainbow waffles from
Yeah,
strangers.
don't take any food from those people. But yeah, it was very cute.
Oh, and Sophia made bunny muffins.
Banana muffins.
Those are really
Those
cute.
are very good too. Yeah.
Banana bunnies.
My stuff wasn't shaped as anything. Like
It's like you don't even love me.
they were
at
like
all.
strips. So I was like, what an animal kind of looks like a long rectangle.
Snake. They look like snakes.
Yeah, they were snake shaped bacon. There
They
you
don't
go.
even look like snakes.
There you go. I can't come up with anything else.
I know
that
there's
looks
nothing
like
that's cute.
I was gonna say a worm, but that's gross.
Wait, a worm is less gross than a snake?
It's more gross. That's why I didn't suggest it.
Oh, I mean more. That's what I meant. Or a caterpillar. It couldn't be a caterpillar. It's too flat.
Yeah.
A eel. You made eel bacon.
It does kind of look like an eel. Yeah,
Okay.
eel-shaped bacon.
Good job.
I planned it the whole time. So now we're very excited to share with you our interview with Kayle Martin, a.k.a. the Collard Cowgirl.
So, Kaylee, what I really want to know is, are you actually a cowgirl, or do you just like wearing cute boots and saying yeehaw? Yeehaw!
Well, Robin, that's a great question. It's probably maybe not my number one question that I get, aside from where do I get my protein? And are those cowgirl boots vegan? I get that a lot too. So yeah, I actually do consider myself a cowgirl. If you know anything about my story, clearly my website shows or tells a little bit about my life and my story, but I grew up on a 5-acre farm in Grass Valley, California, where I live now, on 5 acres with a single mom, and I lived with lots and lots of animals, including horses. So I was literally one of those girls, probably into my teens, that literally ate, slept, and breathed horses. So I grew up trail riding, I had my horses in my backyard, and eventually got kind of into showing and jumping and doing that kind of thing, kind of transitioned from Western into English. And so the cowgirl thing is sort of a twofold. It started because, like I just shared, that I did grow up on a farm with horses, and they're still my favorite animal if I could choose one. But in addition to that, kind of probably skipping ahead a little bit for those who are listening who don't know my story, but I went vegan because I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 30. And I'd like to think that the cowgirl spirit really kind of came back to me during that time, which was a really challenging time, as you might imagine. I did a lot of alternative treatments, but I also did Western medicine as well, and I had a total of 5 surgeries, 4 rounds of chemotherapy, and 6 weeks of radiation. And during that time, I feel like I really pulled into myself these principles that I had learned when I was a little girl. And one of them was, when you fall off your horse, you have to get back on. It didn't matter. That's just how I was raised. So I actually pulled up a quote because I don't have it memorized. I'm going to read it, but it really sort of signifies this cowgirl spirit that I wanted to share with everybody listening today. It's by Dale Evans, and it says, "Cowgirl is a spirit, a special brand of courage. The cowgirl faces life head on, lives by her own lights, and makes no excuses. Cowgirls take stands, they speak up, they defend the things they hold dear." So I think, to answer your question, I am really a cowgirl. I have that cowgirl spirit. I literally grew up on a farm raising and riding horses. And so to me, yeah, that's why I like saying yeehaw, yeehaw, and giddy up. Yeah, I am a cowgirl, a vegan cowgirl.
I think it's interesting that you said that you were diagnosed at 30, because most people that are 30, me, I turned 30 this year, and I would never even think about breast cancer at my age. But, it happens.
Absolutely, it happens, and I think it's becoming an epidemic, really. I mean, all forms of cancer, of course, and we all know somebody who's sadly passed away or has dealt with, a life-threatening illness, but I was the same way. I was not thinking about, being diagnosed with cancer when I was 30 years old, and I was a vegetarian for 19 years, so of course, I'm thinking I'm healthy, and poor little vegetarian me, when it happened to me, I'm like, what? And I'm 30, I have my whole life ahead of me. So I did initially sort of think of it as, that I was going to die. I thought, this is a death sentence. And I'm really turning myself around, kind of going back to that cowgirl spirit and pulling myself up by my quote unquote bootstraps and going vegan. I kind of turned my life around, and I took the bull by the horns, if you will, and it ended up being really the best thing that could have ever happened to me. It just changed my whole life and my outlook, and how I live every day, and how I spend my time, and what I put in my body and on my skin, and who I hang out with, and why I write my blog. So it was very scary, and I made it through all of that, but but yeah, it did happen, and I'm still here. I'm still kicking, as I joke.
And I also find it interesting that you said that you were vegetarian for 19 years before you were diagnosed, because a lot of people have the idea that vegans and vegetarians are bulletproof to disease. And that can be kind of a dangerous thing to believe. The way I look at it, or what I tell people, is we're not bulletproof, but we just don't leave the front door open for disease. We don't leave the door locked with the key under the mat. You know what I mean? Like, make choices that welcome disease in, but we're not bulletproof. I think that's important for people to understand. I mean, you're healthier and you have a lower chance of lots of diseases, but it's still important to pay attention and get screenings and all of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I really am a big advocate of doing like breast self-exams and stuff. And obviously I was so young. I mean, in this country, they don't recommend getting mammograms until you're 40 years old. So if I didn't find this lump on my own, I could have been, I'd be dead right now, potentially. Yeah. So absolutely, I agree with what you said. And I feel like, I guess I feel like it's just such a personal choice and such a journey that I speak with and work with cancer patients at my local hospital. I'm sort of like a mentor or guide to newly diagnosed breast cancer patients, and I enjoy sharing my story with them. And of course, veganism is a huge part of that, but I never push that on anyone. I'm kind of past my angry vegan stage.
Oh, we've all been there. All been the angry vegan stage.
But yeah, I mean, being a vegetarian obviously didn't keep me cancer free. My mom was diagnosed 3 months after me with the exact same type of cancer. And then when I say that to people, they think, oh, well, it was just genetic. Well, cancer doesn't run in our family at all. It just so happens that my mom and I were actually living at different parts of the country at that time, and we were both going through a really traumatic experience and not taking care of ourselves. And I believe that you can turn cancer on and off.
Yes, I do.
It's the switch. And I was eating just gobs of cheese, like it was going out of style. I mean, we all know as vegans, unless we were raised vegan, most of us loved cheese. And I was one of those people. And so I think that the disease crept in. My immune system was down. I was going through a very traumatic event, and it crept in. And, and again, it's not woe is me. It ended up being the best thing that could ever happen to me. But I think I just share this for listeners, who are tuning in, because we aren't bulletproof. We can do the best we can, especially eating a plant-based diet, but there's other things that we can do, like exercise and do yoga and think happy thoughts and all of those things too.
So for those of our listeners that have never been to your website or your blog or know what that's all about, what can you tell us about it?
So I start to say it's a foodie blog, but it's really a vegan lifestyle blog. I primarily cover food on my website because I went vegan because of being diagnosed with cancer. And so that's really kind of how I got into the lifestyle and the movement, because of food. I actually became 100% raw vegan when I was diagnosed, about 2 weeks after I was diagnosed. And I went to raw food school in Atlanta, Georgia for 2 weeks and did a really intense course there. And so that's kind of where the website and the blog stems from. It really was the food that got me interested in becoming a vegan. And I say that, but on the same plane, I should also mention that I was vegetarian for 19 years, which to me, I was clearly doing it because of the animals. So yeah, what you'll find on my website is a blog. I have a page that's dedicated to recipes. So there's all sorts of, sugary sweets and healthy things and green juices on there. And then I have a section that's dedicated to articles that I've written and interviews that I've done, radio shows. I have a press page, events coming up, a very small shop right now. But primarily it revolves around my blog, and I blog. I used to blog about once a week for the first couple years, and I've slowed down a little bit, and I generally blog between 2 and 3 times a month. So more like 2 times a month, 2 to 3 maybe. And on my blog, again, it's mostly foodie related posts, but I also do things like interviews. I've interviewed some really prominent people in the vegan community, and like Allison Rivers Sampson of Allison's Vegan Gourmet. She's a longtime vegan chef and chocolatier, I guess I could call her. She lives locally here. Victoria Moran has been on my blog. Yeah, so I have all sorts of things. I do a lot of product reviews, restaurant reviews, that sort of thing.
Cool.
What are some restaurants you've been reviewing lately?
Well, I just went on a trip to southern Florida, including the Florida Keys, about a month ago. And so my latest blog post having to do with restaurants is a whole kind of review of all the restaurants I ate at while I was traveling. So it's basically, it doesn't include all of southern Florida, obviously, but a couple places in the Keys, West Palm Beach, as well as Fort Lauderdale area.
Do you have a favorite one that you went to?
On that trip?
Yeah.
Oh, they were all so different. I really loved, my favorite place on my trip was Key West. And there was this great little cafe that some vegan friends of mine had told me to go to, and, it was the spot not to miss. Or actually, I should say it was a vegetarian cafe with lots of vegan options. And it's just called The Cafe.
What?
Yeah. So it doesn't really give away what it is in the name, but it's right in Old Town, Key West. And they had juices, and I think I even got a watermelon, not a mojito. What's the other thing everybody drinks at brunch?
Is it? Oh, no, I don't know.
Mimosa.
Oh, yes.
Really? A watermelon mimosa?
I've never heard of this. Instead of putting orange juice and champagne, it was fresh squeezed watermelon juice with champagne and a mint leaf to top it off. And it was so amazing. It was like one of my favorite things for those of us vegans who, consume alcohol.
Well, one thing that I found really interesting when I was looking at your website was the story of how when you became vegetarian, because your cow cupcake was served to you for dinner. What was that experience like?
Yeah, I have a pretty vibrant memory myself, speaking of memories, and for sure that is one of the, I don't know, definitely not a highlight, but in a way it was, because it kind of changed my course in terms of my life and my lifestyle, even at a young age. So like I said earlier, I grew up on a farm up here in Grass Valley, California, which, for those of you who don't know where that is, I live between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe in the Sierra Nevada foothills. So just at the base of the Sierra Nevada mountains, just as you're going towards Tahoe, sort of northeast of Sacramento. Very beautiful. I live in an old gold rush town. Very historic and quaint and cute and touristy. But yeah, I alluded to earlier, I grew up on a farm, so we had chickens and cats and dogs and horses and pigs and goats and rabbits. And we had one cow over an 18-year period when we lived on the ranch there. And all of the animals that we had on our farm were friends, with the exception of 3 over an 18-year period, one of which was Cupcake. And I actually just asked my mom a few weeks ago, because even though I think I have a vibrant memory, I couldn't remember the exact details of why we had this cow. And she said that a friend of hers had this steer, which is a young male cow. And like, as the crow flies, it was maybe, like less than 5 miles in distance apart from our farm to this friend of ours' house, or they also had a ranch. And this cow kept getting loose in the neighborhood and always would come to our house. Like, I don't know if it just, like, we don't have any other cows, but We had horses and all that. And so the friend would come over and load the cow up and take it home. Well, by the third or fourth time of the cow getting out and doing this, my mom contacted the friend and said, can we just keep the cow? So our next door neighbor and my mom decided to go in together, which I don't think I knew all of this, when I was 7 or 8 years old. But they decided to, raise the cow and have it butchered for meat. And so I was able to name him. I gave him that name, Cupcake, which is very appropriate today for the show, I must say. But yeah, he was raised and had a, somewhat of a happy life, obviously until his worst day. But it was very traumatic learning that, coming home from school one day, learning that he was no longer in the pasture where he lived, and that he was then packaged into little white paper bags in our freezer. And one evening I was sitting down to dinner with my mom, and I have an older sister, so it's just the three of us, and I think it was my sister said to my mom as we're digging into our, I don't know if it was like hamburger or meatloaf or something like that, my sister said to my mom, is this Cupcake? And so that's what happened, and that's where it clicked for me. And I don't remember exactly, how old I was, but I was somewhere between 7 and 9. And shortly thereafter, I stopped eating. I first stopped eating red meat, and then eventually chicken and turkey, and then last to go was fish. Actually, I was a big seafood person. And then finally cheese when I transitioned, and eggs to veganism many years later. But yeah, that's kind of how the story goes. So initially, I went vegetarian for the animals, and I remember in high school, I joined PETA. I remember signing up somehow in the mail and getting information from them. And by the time I was in 10th grade, I had read Diet for a New America, John Robbins' classic book. John Robbins of Baskin Robbins fame. He was a longtime vegetarian, or vegan rather, in his family. So it's kind of interesting how it worked out, because I really feel like I was just destined to be vegan. It just took a life-threatening illness to kick me in the butt, take that last step.
You mentioned that on your blog that you have a section of events, and I was wondering if you have any events coming up or projects that you're working on that you wanted to tell us about.
Yeah, events that are coming up. I actually will be going to both vegan beer and food festivals.
Oh, dang.
We will see you there. We'll see you at Portland. We'll be
Dang.
That's hardcore. Every time I hear that someone's going to both, I'm like, oh, you must be younger than I am.
Sounds like I'm older, actually. So, yeah, I'll be going to both. This will be my second one in Portland, because this is the second annual there, and then this will be my third in LA.
Wow.
And then I just got word about a week ago from my friend Rebecca, who runs yummyplants.com. She invited me to attend the animal rights, is it national conference in Los Angeles in July, I believe. And I think it's 3 days, so I'll be there with her. I'm actually working the Yummy Plants booth. So I'll be there in LA. I'm going back and forth to LA a lot. I was just at Vegan Street Fair a few weeks ago. And then as far as projects go, I always talk about potentially writing a book. I don't picture it ever being a vegan cookbook. Those are obviously really popular. I've never considered myself a chef. If you follow me on social media, I see I eat out a lot. But the book would, if it ever comes to fruition, would be more about my story. And I think, potentially could have some recipes in it and all of that, but really more of I don't know if it would be a memoir or what you'd call it, but So that's kind of always in the back of my head. But
So I guess at this point, I just was wondering if you could share the best way for people to find you on the internet.
yeah, of course. It's kind of a mouthful, but my website is Cowgirls, and that's plural with an S at the end, and collardgreens.com. And then, of course, on all the social media channels, Instagram and Twitter, I'm at Collard Cowgirl is my handle. Facebook, I'm actually Cowgirls ampersand Cowgirls and Collard Greens. So yeah, those are the main ways you can reach me. I have a contact page if anybody has any questions or wants to reach out or do a collab of some kind. I love doing radio shows, by the way. I do speaking engagements, but I tend to get really nervous, and I feel really great about doing podcasts and radio shows because nobody's looking at me. It's great. Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit nervous for even this, but not anywhere near if I had to get up in front of a university, which I've done. Even scarier than it just being a university, it was an ag class. They were ag majors.
I think I would be scared too.
Why am I doing this? Well, the professor is vegan, and he's had Howard Lyman in, and all sorts of people. I think even Gene Bauer's been in his course, which it's such an honor that he asked me. But I actually ended up nailing that talk. And at the end, the students, who seemed so young to me because they were probably 18, 19-year-olds, they just had so much grace. They had lots of really great questions, and they were really kind, and they didn't push anything. And, perhaps it was the cancer thing that they kind of wanted to, like, oh, she's had cancer, we feel sorry for her or something. I don't know that it was that, but
No, I just think that age, you're more open-minded. You're not jaded yet.
I guess. But the professor told me going in that they have been really unkind and unruly to other guests.
Oh.
So that was what he prefaced. I'm inviting you, but here's what you should know. And so hello. Yeah, I was a little bit scared.
Oh, that'll make you nervous going into it. Say they might throw tomatoes at you.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't do that at all. In fact, one of the most amazing things in my entire vegan journey actually happened after I gave that talk at Chico State last year. About a week or so after I gave my talk, the kids, I call them kids, students, they had their final exam, and the professor put a question about my talk and me, on the exam. And it was like an essay where they had to answer, did you think that Kaylee's speech was persuasive? And, what do you think about veganism? And, all that kind of stuff. And out of the blue, like a month later, I got an email from him, and he had attached like 37 essays in an email. And all it said was, in the text of the email, if you're ever having a bad day, just read these. Before I'm heading down to the Sacramento airport, I had no, extra 15 minutes to sit there and read through all of these, and that's exactly what I did. I just sat there in my car and just read them all on my phone, and I was crying, and they were just the most generous and kind things that people could say. I mean, it was just like, yeah, if I ever have a bad day, I need to go back and refer to that email, because it just goes to show you just never know. Here I went into the experience thinking they're going to hate me, they're going to throw tomatoes at me, they're ag students, they're anti-vegan, and then the exact opposite ended up happening.
That gives me hope.
Yeah, it does. Nice. All right.
Before I sign off, I should say like yeehaw or giddy up or something.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Yeehaw!
So that wraps up our episode. Since I've already hogged Ashley for the entire day, she probably wants to go home. If you're listening on YouTube or iTunes and you haven't already subscribed to our podcast, please do. And you can leave us comments on either place. And if you're commenting on iTunes, please rate us 5 stars so that the podcast can rank higher in searches. And Ashley, I recently heard that you put up a new blog post.
Yes, my blog, theveganadventure.com. I finally got the Cleveland one up. So I know for all you you people flocking to Cleveland for all the exciting stuff that's happening over there. Great vegan stuff going on there, though. I will give, the one time in my life I will give Cleveland credit. It's really a lot of great vegan food coming out of there. Some stuff that I'm actually jealous that we don't have here, which is shocking. Yeah. So I know I talked about it briefly on the last episode, but there's a more in-depth review of the places on my website. So, and also you can find all the social media links there as well. So Robin, what about you?
And you can go to vegandollhouse.com for absolutely no new blog posts at all. But you can go there if you've never been there and look at cute food. And
you can look at all the old posts.
you can look at all the old stuff.
I'm sure not every person that's listened to been to both of our blogs. There's plenty to see on both of them.
Yeah. And you can follow me on Instagram or Periscope, and I'm at Vegan Dollhouse.
So thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye. Dolls and Donuts.